My name is Jeff Vasquez, the host of this non-existing show. Today, it gives me great pleasure, because we have a very special guest that's here to talk about the most longest running show on Broadway to ever occur on the Great White Way, as we all know it. Now, the first longest running show is Phantom of the Opera. Now, if you guys know Broadway stuff, or you guys are theater people, you guys might have known that already. Followed by the second longest, which is Cats. Now we're going to talk about the third longest, that's number 3. Third longest running show to ever occur on the Great White Way. And we have the emblem of that show to talk to us all about it. And that show is Les Miserables. Les Miserables. Les Miserables.
It's Les Miserables, you dumb fuck.
Damn, testy, aren't we? Okay, yeah, it's... You're gonna have to excuse me because French is not really one of my top languages that I know by heart, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're just retarded.
Anyway, let's just get to the show, okay? Why don't you tell me and the rest of the crew out there, or the gang, however you guys want to be called, what the show's about?
Okay, well this story was originally a novel written by French poet Victor Hugo. The show is set in the year 1815 in France, and the morality of the story is basically about redemption, and the fact to change from evil to good. In the beginning, the Bishop of Digne, in France, M. Charles François, decides to show hospitality towards a wandering stranger, later to be an escaped former convict named Jean Valjean. While Jean is staying with the bishop, he attempts to rob him. However, the bishop puts in a good word for him with the police, and he is released from his charges against them. The bishop basically tells Jean to pay it forward, so he leaves to forge a new life for himself elsewhere.
Ooh, interesting.
And in a completely different area, an extremely beautiful prostitute named Fantine gets pregnant by some douche. Now the reason she becomes a prostitute is due to her bitchy attitude, and she starts fighting at her old former job in the factory she used to work in, which she got fired from. Now she's a prostitute bum. Ha ha ha! Anyway, going back to that, due to the fact that she loses her job, she is then forced to pursue a prostitution career. Not that that's a career, but unfortunately for her, that's the only option she has. So anyway, she gets pregnant by this amateur poet, who is also a very wealthy man named Tholomyès. She is unable to properly care for her daughter, Euphrases, which is me, by the way, and they nicknamed me Cosette, which is a stupid name, but of course, I never got any say in it.
Uh-huh, yeah.
So, she asks an innkeeper and his wife, Mr. and Madame Thénardier, to care for me. Fantine leaves for another city to search for work. She is shunned because she is a prostitute, and ends up having to sell her teeth and hair for money to make ends meet. To send to the Thénardiers, supposedly to buy medication for sick old me. It turns out that unbeknownst to Fantine, my godforsaken mother, the Thénardiers are very cruel to me, and they abuse me to my very soul. So basically, this is where the story meets. Jean Valjean is able to hide his criminal past and forge a very successful life for himself as M. Madeleine. His other, I would say, identity, or his brand new identity. A mysterious and wealthy business owner that he is. One day, he sees a distressed and sickly woman in the park who is really my mom at rock bottom and cares for her.
Interesting.
Eventually, though, she dies. Ha! Not that I'm happy about it. Excuse me, I gotta lay off the smokes. Anyway, honoring Fantine's dying wish, Jean seeks for a Cosette and liberates her from the wicked Thénardier family. Cosette meaning me, so me and Jean really hit it off. He's a good guy. So yeah, we both escape and start a brand new life as father and daughter, and have to hide from the Thénardiers and a police inspector, Javert, that douche. Yeah, anyway, who believes that he is on to M. Madeleine's criminal identity as Jean Valjean. Now the rest of the story pretty much spans the rest of Jean Valjean's life as the good guy, bad guy type crap. constantly ducking himself from Javert's investigation, right up until he dies and Cosette, now a grown woman, me, a grown woman, in other words, and I decide to marry a man named Marius.
Okay, so now after all that stuff, the novel and all that, did it, like, go straight to the Broadway stage, or were there other, like, steps before that?
Whoa, whoa, whoa! Hold on! I was getting there! You're getting a little ahead of yourself, buddy! Calm down!
I'm sorry. Didn't mean to rush.
Jeez. Anyway, now before it hit the Broadway stage in New York, it first hits the stage in Paris on September of 1980 in a sports arena. A French songwriter by the name of Alain Boublil wanted to bring Hugo's vision to life on stage and pitched the idea to French composer Claude Mitchell-Schoenberg. They improved the characters emotionally and mentally, and the way the audience would perceive the characters. Before it became a legit show on stage, they first introduced Les Mis as a 2-hour concept album, with Maurice Barrier as Jean Valjean, Jacques Mercier as Javert, Rose Lauren as Fontaine, and Fabien Guyon, who played me, Cosette. Later that year, the play was finally introduced on stage for the first time ever in the sports arena in 1980 of September, in France, with the same exact cast members from the concept album. The show was a huge hit, with 100 performances and seen by over 500,000 people. Now that's some real stuff, isn't it?
Impressive.
The show then opened in London, which then was translated to English with lyrics by Herbert Kretzmer. They tried to keep as much of the same lyrics as possible when it came to the songs, but a third of the English version was reconstructed with new material. The London production was produced by Cameron Mackintosh. Now you probably know that douchebag from other productions he has done, like Phantom of the Opera, Mary Poppins, Oliver, Miss Jean, and of course, Cats. Oh my god, that show really gives me the bad taste in my mouth. Anyway, Les Mis on the West End was directed by Trevor Nunn and John Card, opening on October 8th, 1985. This one had a whole nother cast with Colm Wilkinson as Jean, Patti LuPone as Fontaine, who was pretty amazing and impressed the crap out of me, playing my mother. Impressive, and nothing really ever impresses me. And Joanne Woodcock to play me. Really? They couldn't have really gotten somebody with a better last name to play my role? Come on! Woodcock? Let's get serious here, you idiots! Anyway, and finally, the show premiered on stage on the stage you all know and love on March 12, 1987, at the Broadway Theatre, with Colm Wilkinson reprising his role as Jean Valjean. He was from the London production as well. The show cost about $4.5 million to produce, and had more than $4 million advance sales prior to its opening. The show ran through October 10th, 1990, then moved to the Imperial Theater and scheduled to close on March 15th, 2003, and extended due to high demands, so it closed on May 18th. The show revived on Broadway on November 9th, 2006, for a limited run, and changes of the set occurred by adding colorful projections and a proscenium stage that extended towards the audience. There was also an all-new cast as well. The revival cast included Alexander G. as Jean Valjean, Norm Lewis as Javert, Daphne Rubin Vega as Fontaine, Celia Keenan Bulger as and Ali E., the name I can't pronounce, as me. The revival closed on January 6, 2008, combined with an original production of 6,680 performances. Les Mis on Broadway has played 7,176 performances. Now the show on the West End side has been nominated for the Laurence Olivier Award, but did not win. Bastards. However, Patti LuPone did win for Outstanding Actress.
Now let me ask you a question, and I'm sure everybody out there is wondering, did you bring a clip with you for us to see some examples of these songs that were sung in Les Mis, especially for the people out there that have not heard of the play or have not seen the play, nor anything that has to do with Les Mis? Do you have any clips?
I do have a clip of Patti LuPone singing her butt off. Here is a nice little number that she sang from one of Les Mis' most popular songs, I Dreamed a Dream.
I dreamed a dream in time gone by, when hope was high and life worth living. I dreamed that love would never die. I dreamed that God would be forgiving. But the tigers come at night, with their voices soft as thunder, as they tear your hope apart, as they turn your dream to shame.
Now that was freaking beautiful! My goodness, I cried my eyes out! Anyway, on the Broadway end, the show did win a Tony for Best Musical Direction, and Best Score in 1987. If you don't believe me, then check out these clips right here. The show also won a Tony for Best Scenic Design and Best Light Design. Take a look at that. Huh? Pretty freaking awesome. The show was just a freaking legendary masterpiece. But anyway, the show did such a great job, and it was so much of a masterpiece that I think previously, last year, they released a movie based on this show. The movie was very amazing because it was faithful to the original story that Victor Hugo once told in the early version of Les Mis, which is the original version.
They do look identical. Yeah, that's true. Well, I haven't seen the movie yet, but I'm pretty sure that it's absolutely great. Absolutely great. Just like the show.
Yes. It had Hugh Jackman as Jean Valjean. It had Anne Hathaway as Fantine. It had Russell Crowe as Javert. Amanda Seyfried as Cassé. Sacha Baron Cohen as the Thénardier. I loved him in Borat, by the way. Funny movie. Tim Burton's crazy-ass wife, Helena Bonham Carter, as Miss Thénardier.
This was a great interview. I'm very, very honored to have the emblem, who's actually Cassette from the show, to have you here sitting right beside me. It's a great pleasure.
Thank you very much for having me. Yes.
For all you guys that did not get a chance to see Les Mis on Broadway, they are coming back in 2014 of March, I would say. Yes, March 2014. So if you didn't see it, go and check it out next year. They're coming back to Broadway, right?
Yes, it is. There is another revival coming next year, so feel free to go and check it out. Now, if you see me sitting there, don't think it's just a decoration or a poster board that somebody left. It's me! It's a living thing! I am alive, by the way, coming to see my own show.
I hope that you guys got a lot out of this interview, and I hope that you learned something about the show Les Mis and how awesome it is. So, this is Jeff Vasquez signing out, and I will see you guys whenever. Oh, gotta get out of here.